Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by BetterHelp.com and LittleShaman.org. That's me, the Little Shaman. Today, I wanted to talk to you about whether pathologically narcissistic people can love others. Does the narcissist love me? Is a question we hear asked all the time, so I thought we could talk about it on the show today. The short answer to this question is the probability of this is so low that it is not worth wondering about. But why? Why are people asking this question? And why is this the answer? The truth is, even the question itself assumes things that shouldn't be assumed. When someone asks if a narcissist loves them, what they are actually asking is, does this person experience love the way that I do? Do they even understand what love is? Do they agree with me about what love is? And do they feel the same way about me that I feel about them? These are actually fundamental assumptions, but everyone takes the answers for granted. When we are asking this question about narcissists, we have to understand that they likely do not experience emotions the same way that non-pathologically narcissistic people do, that they likely do not understand what love really is, that they probably do not agree with your definition of love in any event, and because of this, realistically do not and probably cannot feel the same way about you that you feel about them. In all likelihood, narcissistic people probably do believe they love other people. If you ask narcissists if they love any other people or if they ever have, the majority of them will probably say yes. But what they mean by that, how they define and experience love, and what they realistically think love looks like in relationships with other people is usually very, very different than what other people think. It's probably a mistake to assume that we understand what anyone other than ourselves means by words they use, especially words like love. But with narcissistic people, it is perhaps even more of a mistake because there's no way to know if they even have context for the experiences or feelings that these words describe at all. People understand things based on their experiences and their information. For example, narcissists and psychopaths objectify people, meaning they view and experience people as objects. If you ask them whether they see other people as people, most, if not all of them, will say yes, of course they do. But even when they are being sincere, even when they sincerely believe that that's true, what does this actually mean? What is their baseline for understanding how they experience and understand other human beings compared to how other people view other people? If you ask a person with abnormal or severely affected experiences about normal experiences, do they have the appropriate context to even answer that question? For example, if a person with a severe psychotic disorder is experiencing daily delusions and hallucinations, but then when you point it out to them, they say, my perception is not as distorted as you're saying it is, what real ability do they have to actually make that assessment? They don't have an understanding of what, quote, normal perception would be because to them, this is normal. It's the same problem with narcissists. They can only understand or gauge things through their own perception, which is likely extremely different from yours. Even if they sincerely think they do love someone, what does that actually mean in reality? With narcissists, it means, I love the way you help me feel about myself. I love the things you do for me. I love the reflection of myself that you show me through your expressed perception of me. When they stop believing they love you or believing that you love them, it's because they believe these things have changed. Things don't have to have actually changed. All that has to happen is that the narcissist believes they have changed. And since their perception is severely affected and their identity, self-worth, and self-image are extremely unstable, they can come to believe this for very small or even nonsensical or non-existent reasons. You didn't buy the kind of butter they asked for at the store. To the narcissist, this can mean that you don't consider them important enough to matter. You don't care how they feel. Maybe you corrected them about something. To the narcissist, this can mean you're trying to embarrass them or you're trying to harm them. You are ridiculing or attacking them and you no longer see them as perfect. They can get the idea in their head that you're cheating on them or that you like your other parent better or all kinds of things. These types of things cause the reflected image they see of themselves through your actions, through your perception, to become tainted. You no longer see them as good or perfect, and consequently, they can no longer see themselves that way. This is a much bigger deal to narcissists than many people realize. This situation must be rectified in the narcissist's life because a loss of esteem on this level is literally life-threatening. It usually takes the form of devaluing the other person or the relationship in an attempt to deny and distance themselves from the threat or the injury. I don't have to believe this because this person is not important. They don't like me, they're just being mean, they're wrong, they're stupid, etc. And also attacking the person or their words or their character or their perception or whatever else, defending themselves, in other words, puts the narcissist in a position of strength instead of vulnerability. And sometimes there's a discard where instead of bothering to defend themselves, they simply abandon the relationship or the situation. This is easier than facing whatever unpleasant feelings were stirred up by their perception that the relationship has somehow changed. Because the aforementioned things are what narcissists actually care about in relationships, how they feel about themselves, experiencing the reality of themselves through the perceptions and actions of others, and because they can get these things from literally anybody under the correctly managed circumstances, we will often see a discard when the fall from grace happens, and we almost always see devaluation of the relationship and or the other person. Narcissists value utility over identity in people, kind of like not caring what kind of vehicle you have as long as it gets good gas mileage. There is no real love in this situation because love for others is not about how we feel about ourselves. You are the mirror in a narcissistic relationship, and when we look into a mirror, we don't see the mirror. We see ourselves reflected back to us. In this same way, the narcissist does not see other people. They see and become infatuated with the perfect, important reflection of themselves that the other person is showing them. This is not love. If they think it is, and many of them do, it's only because this is the sum of their experience with situations where people use that word. As soon as the reflection changes, their feelings do too. Narcissism was named for Narcissus, a figure in Greek mythology who fell in love with his own reflection in the water. Key to understanding Narcissist is the understanding that Narcissus did not fall in love with himself. He fell in love with his reflection. In this same way, narcissists are not in love with themselves. Most are actually consumed with fear, envy, self-loathing. Those that are not are simply empty. They become infatuated with the reflections of themselves that they experience through other people's perception of them. It sounds complicated, but only to explain and only to understand. In practice, it's actually very simple. How others see the narcissist is how they see themselves. When others see the narcissist as good, smart, attractive, important, and whatever other positive things, they can see themselves that way, and they like that a lot. They also need these reflections because they have no ability to create a stable self-image. So if they can't find anybody to reflect a positive or important image of themselves back to them, their self-worth crashes, and they have no way to do anything about that. They literally live on the opinions of others. If others do not verify their existence through giving them some kind of attention, they don't exist. And remember, positive in this context does not necessarily mean good. That is ideal and would probably always be the preferred situation, but many narcissistic people can survive on mostly negative attention too. As long as their existence can be verified through attention and they can experience themselves as important in some way, even if it's by making other people angry or upset with them or through hurting other people, that's enough. Some masochistic or sadistic narcissists may have even learned to thrive on negative attention and may gear their efforts toward doing things that consistently result in them being punished or in them punishing other people. The narcissist loves the attention they receive. They love the verification of their reality and their importance as a person. They love the reflection they're being shown of themselves, but they do not love the other person or people in the relationship or situation because, like with a mirror, they don't see the other person or the people in the relationship. This is a person completely and totally fixated on themselves to the exclusion of everything else. One of the reasons people ask if the narcissist loves them is because they want to believe that the fixation the narcissist seemed to have on them and the importance the narcissist attached to them was real. It is, but not for the reasons that people think. What appears to be a fixation on someone else is still a fixation with the self. The narcissist does not want to be around someone constantly because they like them. They want to be around someone constantly because they become infatuated with the way they feel about themselves when this person is around. They will often even say exactly that, or something along the same lines. During the love bombing or idealization stage of the relationship, many things are said in this vein, and lots of times, if we examine them, we will realize that they're actually self-serving statements revolving around the narcissist, not the other person. They believe they're talking about the other person, but this is because they're so self-centered that they don't see the difference between saying, for example, I love you because you're so smart, and I love you because you make me feel so smart. In their perception, both of these comments are about the other person. They're not. These may or may not be sincere statements, but there is a difference between saying, I love you, and I love the way you make me feel. One is expressing love for someone else and the other is not. It's important to truly listen to what other people are saying and not assume they understand the way we understand or mean what we mean. Narcissists are mimics and they can be good at creating the appearance of something, but they're usually not that good at it because they don't really understand the things they're mimicking. They usually get a lot of assistance from the other person or the people in the relationship simply because the other people want to believe in it so badly. The simple, unvarnished truth is that it doesn't really matter if someone loves you or not, if they're treating you badly, if they're not respecting you, and if the way they love you makes you feel bad. So many times people are willing to accept these things and more if they can only believe that the other person loves them. But if someone is doing these things, they don't love you in any healthy way, and they may not even love you at all. A person can need you, want you, use you, live with you, have sex with you, give birth to you, raise you, support you, buy you presents, give you money, feed you, and more, all without ever loving you. These things are not love. They are not like love. They are what they are, and that's all they are. Wanting someone is wanting them. It is not loving them. Needing someone is needing them. It is not loving them. We sometimes hear people say, you don't hurt the ones you love. I don't really agree with that. Of course we hurt the ones we love sometimes. It's part of being a person. It's part of being a human being. But if someone loves you, they don't excuse, justify, or defend hurting you. And they don't keep hurting you because they believe you deserve it or because their own stuff is more important than that. That's not love. I hope this clears a few things up for you. As always, I look forward to your comments, questions, and suggestions, so please keep those coming. I take appointments online, over the phone, via text, via messenger, via email, and through Skype for international clients worldwide. So if you're interested in speaking with me one-on-one, you can visit the Book an Appointment tab on littleshaman.org to do that. I teach workshops, seminars, and clinics throughout the year. So if you're interested in seeing what we're running this month, you can visit littleshaman.org to do that as well. You've been listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by betterhelp.com and littleshaman.org. That's me, Little Shaman. May the Great Spirit bless you and have a wonderful day.